Hello and welcome to Politics London. Coming up, 5 years on from the first COVID lockdown, what has been the lasting legacy for London's school children?
It feels like a chunk of my childhood was taken because I didn't get to really go outside or do anything. It was like everything was online, on the phone, on the iPad, so it wasn't really fun.
Good to have you with us. Hello, good morning. I'm Samantha Simmons. Joining us for the show, Florence Eshalomi, Labour MP for Vauxhall and Camberwell Green, and Neil Garratt, leader of the Conservatives at the London Assembly. Welcome to you both. Great to have you on the programme. And if you want to join in the conversation at home, you can find us on social media at BBC London News. Just use the hashtag #PoliticsLondon. Now, nearly 7 years ago, the Mayor launched his plan to eliminate deaths and serious injuries from London's transport network by 2041. TfL Commissioner Andy Lord was recently questioned at City Hall about why the numbers haven't improved, with bus-related fatalities and serious injuries dropping by just one person per year to 258. That's the equivalent of 5 people per week. Well, Neil, you're on the Transport Committee on the London Assembly. What's behind this? Campaigners blame poor bus driver conditions. Do you agree?
I think that is part of it. In fact, it's quite a big part of it. I think fundamentally what's going on is the Mayor made a big commitment 7 years ago, part of his Vision Zero, that there would be, by 2030, no one being killed on or by a bus. And then what we've seen is there hasn't been the follow-through to actually make that happen. So it's like two different worlds. There's the Mayor talking about his commitment, and then whenever we quiz the Commissioner, and particularly when I talk to bus drivers, what they describe is a world where they will say safety matters, but schedule pressures on drivers. In the summer when it gets very hot, the cabs often aren't cooled properly. In the winter when it's cold, they're often very cold. And I've repeatedly challenged both the Mayor and the Commissioner and the head of safety at TfL about this. And it's so slow to see the rhetoric turn into real reality. And that's, as you've described in the figures, they're basically just trending sideways.
With millions of bus journeys in London per week, is it really possible to make this kind of commitment when, with the best will in the world, human error will occur from both passengers, pedestrians and bus drivers?
Well, firstly, that was the Mayor's commitment, and obviously as the London Assembly, our job is to hold him to his commitment. What I would say is that I don't think it is acceptable. A certain amount of failure will always happen in any system, but the point of a safe system is to make sure the failure doesn't become serious, doesn't become fatal. So if you think about the two women who were killed at Victoria bus station, there was Melissa Burr, there were major changes made to the bus station, but then within weeks, Kathy Finnegan was killed in very similar circumstances in the same place. And so I think TfL in particular have a real almost a fetish for doing hard, physical work on the bus, physical work on the ground, and not thinking in the way that, say, the aviation or the rail industry think about the human performance. What are the pressures? What are the situation you're putting the human being in, like the driver, and whether you're helping them to make it easy to make the right, safe decision.
Yeah, well, Florence, with that in mind, concerns have been raised by former TfL board member describing the franchising model under which TfL tenders each route as institutionally unsafe for its lack of safety focus. Do you have those concerns?
I think what we need to remember, Neil cited some examples there. No one should have to go out using public transport and not return home. So we should think about the families who've lost so many loved ones in really horrific circumstances. I think it is right that the Mayor has a really ambitious target to end fatalities on the road network by 2030. And it's what more the Mayor can be doing with the different bus operators. It's quite a complex network in London where you have so many different bus operators on different routes. Everyone thinks it's just one bus operator. So all those individual contracts and what safety mechanisms when those contracts are coming up for retendering. I think it's right that we are seeing the Mayor's recommitment on this and the Deputy Mayor, Seb Dance. What I want to see, and I know it's something that the transport unions have been arguing for, is around additional training and support for drivers. We had a situation before where, rest periods and toilet breaks, something which we all take for granted and think, drivers have access to it, making sure more of those facilities are open so that we don't see that human error. But I think ultimately it's about how we make sure that no one is dying on London's roads.
Well, with that in mind, do you support the Bill of Rights, which is a petition that's been signed by thousands of people calling for drivers to get adequate rest breaks and better toilet provision? Do you support that?
As a former London Assembly member and as a former chair of the Transport Committee, these were some of the things that I've looked at in the past. I think it's making sure that the Mayor continues to work with not just the bus operators, but the actual drivers themselves and engaging with the unions in looking at their concerns. This is just part of a wider picture of packages of support for drivers, and it's really vital that everyone comes to the table with those key issues and look at how we eradicate the deaths on the roads.
Wasn't quite a yes, though, was it? And I think you're right about this franchising business, and actually that's part of the problem. So you mentioned the former TfL board member, Michael, that I've spoken to him. And this is part of the problem. And what I see time and again is that, so TfL are the public body that are publicly accountable to me and to other people. The bus operators are private companies, and actually it works quite conveniently for TfL to have this separation. So legally it's the bus company that has the sort of health and safety responsibility in law, and it's TfL that's publicly accountable. And this separation, I think, works quite well for dodging responsibility.
OK, well, thank you. I'm sure we will return to this. But in the meantime, Lorna Murphy, TfL's Director of Buses, has said this: we continue to work closely with all bus operators, manufacturers and the boroughs to make the network safer through our comprehensive and world-leading bus safety programme. This is delivering major safety improvements across our fleet, our roads and the wider bus network. While staying with transport,